I'm Dave. Welcome back to my channel. I haven't recorded anything in a long while or posted anything in even longer because I am lazy. I haven't, and I apologize about that. I'm really bad at editing. I try, but my hands just don't work as well as they probably should, um, or as well as they probably could, which it really leads me to wanting to look to do better. I've got multiple sclerosis, and there are moments that I swear I'm feeling some type of remelineation. But then it goes right back to where it was. Now, I've got primary progressive multiple sclerosis, and as you know, that's not good days and bad days. That's just bad days followed by even worse. And I'm doing everything I can to correct that. I've saw all sorts of papers on take this supplement or take that supplement or go low medication here and high medication there, or take this high medication and that low medication. So many different options and different choices and different protocols and different things that work differently for everybody. And I don't know what would work best for me. What I do know is some of the things that I can do naturally are weightlifting, because anaerobic exercise can improve the ability for your body to create myelin, and it can also work to create new pathways to make muscles work. The other thing is just vitamin D, and not necessarily supplementing it, but using UVB light, which would come naturally from the sun, but because I live in Minnesota, I am probably going to have to get a lamp to help my skin and the endocrine system in my body create vitamin D. Now, one of the supplements that I am taking is AG1, or Advanced Greens 1. They are not a sponsor. I know that they're all over YouTube. They sponsor a lot of people. I'm not one of them. I just take it because it works. And not the greatest flavor in the world, but once you get used to the flavor, you actually start craving it. And the first couple of tastes, it certainly tastes like you were chewing on the front yard. But after that, you can taste the vanilla and the pineapple in it and the citrus flavor, and it ends up being really good. What I have found working for me is they tell you to mix it with like 8 ounces of water, but if I mix it with like 2 or 3 ounces of water, where it's a very concentrated mixture, it ends up tasting a lot better. And then I will wash it down with another, 5 or 6 ounces, somewhere to build that 8 ounces so it'll blend well in my stomach. Because I don't know if it needs the extra water to work properly, if the particles in it have to hydrate or not. But I make sure I have at least a full 8 ounces of water with every serving of it. I chose the individual travel packs rather than getting the one large bag of it, because it comes in two different versions. Either you get the little 12 gram travel packs, and you get 30 of them for a 30-day supply, or you get a large bag and a scooper to scoop it in. I went with the travel packs. Now, when talking about delineation, I think the best place to start is where you started. So I want to document exactly where this began for me in 2016. If we go back a little bit further, at the end of 2013, I was involved in an automobile accident where I was rear-ended. I was driving up Lake Street. We were headed to a restaurant to eat dinner with our friend Tim. And next thing you know, smack, got rear-ended. The person didn't have their insurance on them, so I called the police. The police showed up. They found out that he did have insurance. He just didn't have the card on him, which is fine, it's whatever. So we swapped insurance information, and I got a small check for $2,000 for getting checked out at the hospital. But after that, I developed a limp. And if I had realized what that limp meant at that time, I probably would have gone in further, because I believe my issues started there. But if we fast forward a couple of months and go up to January 2nd, 2014, I was working for FedEx Ground. I was stopped in front of Rapala on Bren Road in Opus Park. Bren Road or Yellow Circle? Yellow Circle that leads into a red circle. Right in that area, right in front of Rapala, there was a person turning left. So I came to a complete stop. I was in the far left lane, which was one way going westbound, and the right lane next to me was one way going eastbound. So it was the opposite of what a normal road would look like for east and west. But I was stopped in front of Rapala, and this person came around the corner nicely, and they turned into Rapala, and while I was stopped waiting, a person in a Suburban rear-ended me about 40 miles an hour without ever having touched the brake pedal. It was awful. They totaled their Suburban in the back of me. Their airbag didn't go off, and they used that in court that, it didn't even set off the airbag. Well, he was in an old enough vehicle that the airbag didn't work. He totaled his vehicle in the back of my truck. So I was pretty miffed about that. But it messed up my shoulder more than anything. I noticed a lot of pain in my right shoulder at that moment. And I worked through it and worked through it and worked through it. But it got to the point that I ended up needing surgery on it. But at that point, I still didn't realize that I had multiple sclerosis, because I was only concentrating on my right shoulder and how much it hurt. So fast forward a couple more years up to 2016. My wife and I were walking through the small town that we lived in, and we went down a slight incline, almost a hill, but it was more of just a slight incline. And I lost my footing and spun around and landed on my butt. I didn't know what happened at that point. I was shocked. I'm looking around going, why did I fall? My wife was concerned, and she said, it's starting to rain. You just wait here. I'll go get the truck for you. So she went and got the vehicle and grabbed me, and we went home. And literally, it was only about 3 blocks to the house. But it was safer than walking and wondering what happened. We went into the house and decided that we should probably go to the hospital over what happened. And we might not go then. We'll wait until the weekend. Wait until Saturday evening, and then we'll go to the hospital. That way, we don't have to drag the kids with us and have them miss school or anything like that. And we could make a pokey hunting trip out of it or something fun. So we went to the hospital, and we went pretty early. And we went into the emergency room, and my stepdaughter was out with her boyfriend at the time. Just kind of pokey hunting. We figured it wasn't going to take that long. And it ended up taking a lot longer than we thought. Because we went into the emergency room, and the doctor came in with all his little cohorts, like we were some sort of a drug seeker couple or something. And he's like, we can't give you any medication to make the pain go away. And it's like, I fell a couple days ago. I didn't just fall now. It's not hurting. I want to figure out why I fell. I want to know what happened. Not how to cover up what happened or how to suppress the symptoms of what happened, but how to figure out what happened. He's like, well, we can't really find anything wrong with you. I'm like, well, then I need an MRI. And the doctor was like, well, you fell on your butt, and you don't really carry your brain in your butt, so I figured he was telling a joke, so I kind of laughed and said, I still need an MRI because there's something wrong. I don't know what it is. He's like, well, you didn't hit your head, so we're probably not going to find anything wrong with you. I said, yeah, but you're going to go ahead and you're going to give me an MRI anyhow. He finally reluctantly said, okay, yeah, you'll get the MRI. He made me wait forever. And then they sent me down to radiology, and I actually had to walk down to radiology myself. I didn't have any assistance or any help. And I get all the way down to radiology, and the guy asked me if I have any metal, if I have any of this or any of that. He said, we're going to be scanning your head, so you don't have to worry about anything below your shoulders. You know, if you have anything metal anyway, you might want to take it off because you're going to be in the tube. And I said, no, I'm fine, no metal. And so he does the scan, and it does that, you know, it sounded like a whole, best way to describe it is a diesel boat. If you've ever been on the ocean in a diesel boat, like a charter boat or something, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's like being in an MRI machine. And so did the first half of the MRI, and tube comes out, or I come out of the tube. He said, okay, well, we've got to contrast your blood now. We've got a nurse here, a phlebotomist, so she'll be able to get the dye in your blood. Have you ever had a reaction to it? And I said, well, I can't remember. Well, the last time I was in for an MRI was for my shoulder, and I think they contrasted my blood, but there's no reaction. And he was like, okay, you know, that sounds good. So they did that. They sent me back in the tube. Go through another, for a while, MRI. I ended up falling asleep, so I don't really know exactly how long it took. Because I fall asleep in those MRI tubes. I always have. And as I'm moving out of the tube, getting ready to stand up and walk back down, he's like, no, you need to stay right there. I'll help you onto your bed, and we'll wheel you back down to your hospital room. And I'm just thinking, you brought my bed here, and you're not letting me walk down to my room on my own. You must have found something really, really bad. And I couldn't exactly figure out what it was that they'd found. They finally helped me onto my bed, and I get back down to the room. And I sit there with my wife, and we wait. And we wait. And we wait. And we wait some more. And finally, about an hour later, the doctor comes back in the room and says, you know, it was hard for me to get a hold of a neurologist at this hour, but I didn't just get a hold of one, I got a hold of two. And we all agreed that you definitely got multiple sclerosis. Now, right now, what we can do is we're going to keep you here at the hospital for the next 5 days, and we're going to infuse prednisone into your blood over the next 5 days. I said, no. I'm not staying. No, you're not. No, not staying. I will come back every day for the infusions, but I will not stay in the hospital. No, not happening. So he sets it up for me to go home that night. Or actually, he gives me the infusion that night. And then I come back the next day for the next 4 days for the infusions. It was 10,000 milligrams at a time for a total of 50,000 milligrams over 5 days infused into my blood of methylprednisone. And all it did was make me angry. It didn't really do anything else for me. Or at least I don't feel like it did anything else for me. It may have, it may not have. I don't fully know. Because I don't remember it doing much other than making me angry. And I don't know if the anger was brought on at the fact that I had MS or if it was something else. And so my wife and I were reading up on MS and what it took. We got the book Multiple-Sclerosis for Dummies. It's a yellow book. It doesn't give you answers to what everything is, but it gives you the basic idea of what it is. But it leads you in the direction of the correct questions to ask. so you know what you might want to look further into, what you can research more, and what to ask different doctors. All in all, it's a good book, and I highly recommend it to everybody. And I highly recommend getting an exercise bike so you don't lose what you already have. Because I have unfortunately done that. I have lost what I had. I thank you again for watching. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and tell me down in the comments below what exactly brought up your MS and how you were diagnosed. I will always remember when the doctor told me I had multiple sclerosis, how I didn't think it was a big deal because I didn't know anything about it. And now that I do, it is a much bigger deal than I ever thought it was.